Okay, so Disney Plus just premiered The Acolyte, and this is a series that I was incredibly excited for. I'm not so much of a Star Wars hater as people tend to lean in that direction saying Disney ruined it. I think that Ahsoka was pretty good. I think that Andor was one of the best series that Disney has ever made. But The Acolyte, I feel like, I don't want to say is misleading, but the trailer made it out to be this big action-packed thing, and it was going to introduce a bunch of new elements, and just from what we've seen in the first 2 episodes, and this could change as the show goes on, it felt weird. Right? You had this really incredible opening sequence, episode 1, and you're introduced to Carrie-Anne Moss's character, Indara, and you're also introduced to one of the protagonists of this series, May. And they have this really cool fight sequence that we've seen in the trailer, and it plays out really, really well. The fight choreography is incredible for Star Wars, at least. I don't think we've seen fight choreography as good as this and in this style since Rogue One. Honestly, I started getting really immersed into it. I was like, okay, this is really, really cool. It's living up to the hype. The trailer is true and honest, and as soon as that opening sequence ends, it is a fucking drag for the first episode. You're introduced to some of the new Jedi, you go back to Coruscant, you get to know some of the Jedi Masters that are there at the time. I've seen complaints that Yoda isn't in this show, which it would make sense that he would be alive, but I feel like we're so full of cameos, I'm not against them in any way, but I feel like if they're trying to do something new, I don't think they're going to want to keep going back to the past if they're trying to be like, oh, hey, we're doing our own thing now. It would be wonderful to see Yoda, but I'm not fussed whether he's in this show or not. But it's a really weird thing because you're introducing us to all these characters, but you're not giving us anything about them. You're like, okay, this is the new Master Jedi who's going to be guiding you through everything. It honestly just feels like, here are your little chess pieces, follow these guys, you don't need to know anything about them, but just keep an eye on them because they're going to be leading you through the story. And that sucks because I feel like there is a potential for these characters to be really fleshed out and give you an opportunity to learn more about them, their past, their histories, what got them into the Jedi Order in the first place, and we don't really see any of that. Lee Jung-jae is one of the lead actors in this series. He plays the Jedi Master Soul. I think he is potentially one of the most interesting characters. At least he's the one that I've kind of gravitated more towards after watching both episodes. And then episode 1 wraps up. You see the main protagonist, the guy who's behind the scenes, who's incredibly moody, and he draws his red lightsaber and he's, I'm gonna kill the Jedi. And can you imagine that scene if he just had to like like what happens after? He's like, I will kill all the Jedi. A couple of minutes pass, he's just staring out into the ocean and he's like, all right, I'm done now. And just walks back home. I don't know, man. It felt really weird. It felt like a strange, I don't want to say like a fan fiction thing, because you can tell like the budget has gone into the sets and the CG looks really good. But even the aliens, there's this one guy on the ship where Osha is hanging out. She's kind of fixing things up, whatever. She's a mechanic. There's this alien, and I don't know why it just felt so weird. All of the prequel movies back in the day, they did aliens so well. They got the voice acting perfectly. This just seemed, it was like Uncanny Valley, but to the very extreme, which didn't make sense because we've seen that Disney know how to do aliens incredibly well if you just look at The Mandalorian. I don't know, man, it's little things like that just didn't make sense to me, and I know I was kind of put off. Episode 2 starts off with May, and you realize what she's up to and what her mission is. You don't exactly know why. You get like a couple of hints here and there, but you know, we build up to that. There's more episodes to come. That's fine. Felt like it was 10 minutes at the beginning, 5 minutes at the end, and then everything in between was just filler. And honestly, that's what a lot of these Star Wars shows have felt like recently. It's just like you get a couple of really, really cool, really brilliant sequences, and then it's just loads of space, a massive void in between. And it doesn't make sense, man. This show has $180 million for a budget. Why are we adding filler? Like, you have the money to make a massive blockbuster. But at the end of episode 2, there is this really cool fight sequence, and it's kind of short, but it's between May, Soul, and sexy Starbucks guy, kind of. He jumps in at the end after staring 5 meters away with binoculars. They have this little fight sequence, and she gets her ass handed to her, and then actually after the fight, she gets her ass handed to her by like an alchemist dude who makes poisons and sells her stuff. I don't know how that happened. And now we're on a hunt for May before she ends up going and taking out some more of the Jedi Masters. The next one who's in line is this Jedi Wookiee thing, which in itself felt weird. I don't know if it's like the way that the guy was moving around in the Wookiee suit or whatever, but we will see more of that in the next episode, and hopefully it looks better than it did in this this one. But yeah, super weird if I'm honest. I hope that over the next couple of weeks, the series gets better and you do learn more about these characters. It gets a little bit more action-packed, because at the moment it just feels like we're chasing things and we're trying to unravel a mystery. And I don't feel like it has to be like that. You have these incredible characters. You have this amazing lore in this universe to play with. Utilize it. You know, I'm not a writer, I am not a director, I make stupid little videos and put them on the internet, but I just felt like I was struggling to get through it. I wanted to watch the whole thing because I love this franchise, but I was bored. And that's the truth of it. So that is my review of episode 1 and 2 for The Acolyte. Let me know what you think. Let's talk about it down in the comments. What is your opinion on the state of Star Wars at the moment? Because you have a whole band camp that's like, I love Disney, I love what they're doing with it, and blah, 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 blah. And I think in some ways they have done an incredible job. The CG, I think, is better than it ever has been. The sets look absolutely stunning. The aliens and all the rest of it. The world looks wonderful. But I feel like it's all eye candy, because when you actually look at the plot and the story of every single piece of content that they've made, it's kind of lackluster, and I hope that they improve over time, because like I said, it's an incredible universe and there is just so much more to learn about everything. All right, I love you faces, you're amazing and beautiful, and I'll catch you in the next one.